All right, folks, we are going to start by looking at the 30, 60, 90 triangles. Yesterday we talked about the 45, 45, 90 triangles. Those rules you need to memorize. You really do. You're going to use them throughout the rest of your high school career in mathematics. You're going to use them out of Algebra 2. You'll use them pre-calculus. You're going to have them on the ACT. And the quicker and the easier you do those type of problems, you're going to be able to solve problems quicker and make life easier on yourself. So let me go ahead and start a little mini proof of how we come up with the rule for the 30, 60, 90 triangles. So on a piece of paper that you're going to use for your homework tonight, you might want to go ahead and pause right now and get that out. But I am going to draw out for you a equilateral triangle, okay? And I'm going to label each side length 2x right now. Okay? And we know in an equilateral triangle, all the angles are congruent, so they're all 60 degrees, okay? Now, if I drop a line down perpendicular to the base, what does that do to this top angle up here, this angle right here? What does that do? It cuts it in half, right? So no longer is this a 60-degree angle, but this is a 30-degree angle, okay? So if I redraw that triangle separate here, okay, so we have a 30, 60, 90 triangle, okay? Now, in a 30, 60, 90 triangle, you have obviously the hypotenuse. So I'll make a little note of that right there. There's the hypotenuse. There's a shorter leg, or shorter leg. I was going to say short leg, but shorter leg. And this is the longer leg. Okay. Now, if I go back over to this, remember I made each side length 2x. If I go ahead and ask you, what would this length be if the entire length is 2x? You would want to say this is the length of x, because the whole length is twice as much. If I add them both together, these two triangles are congruent right now. We then would have x and x, which would make the 2x. Okay. So now the question is this: I know my short leg is x, my hypotenuse is 2x. What's my longer leg going to be in terms of x? Well, if I go ahead and work out the Pythagorean theorem here, you have the short leg plus the long leg, I'll put that as b, is equal to the hypotenuse squared, okay? And if I go ahead and square that hypotenuse, and then I can go ahead and subtract x squared from both sides, because my goal is to get b squared by itself, okay? I want to know what that length is in terms of x. So 4x squared minus 1x squared gives me 3x squared. And then how do I undo a square? I'm going to square root it. So I'm going to go ahead and do something like this. Okay. Now I can do some more work with this, because we know a square and a square root do what? They cancel each other out. I could also make up a number here to help you visualize this. If I made this 4 squared is 16. What's the square root of 16? Well, it comes out as just a 4, or just the x. So the length of the longer leg is going to be x square root 3. Okay, so x square root 3. All right. So if I was to tell you that this is 10, what would this length have to be? It'd be 5, half as much, right? If this is 2x, and that's 10, then x would just be 5. And if x is 5, this is 5 square root 3, okay? If this one is 7, the shorter leg is 7, then this longer leg is 7 square root 3. The hypotenuse is going to be 2 times 7, which would be 14, okay? And if I was to give you this length right here is 9 square root 3, then what's the shorter leg? It's 9. And what's the hypotenuse? It's 18. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense there, folks, as we look at that. I've got, that is the rule here. Okay? So again, if I go back to the rule, I'm going to do something like this. And I'll put it up here at the top. This is the 30-degree angle. Opposite the 30 is the x. The 60 is x square root 3, and the opposite 90 is 2x. Okay? So let's start to apply this rule down here. And if you feel like you are good with this stuff, obviously just go ahead and keep working through. If you check your answers, that'd be great. And then just to make sure we've got it down. So in this case, in the first one, this one is x. This is 2x. And this is x square root 3. Okay, so if x is 7, what is 2x? 7 times 2, which is 14. And what is x radical 3? Well, it's 7 times radical 3. Just like that. Okay. If I move on to the next one, again, you're going to notice what I do on each of these problems first. I label them based on the rule that we found out. Now, since I know that 15 is my hypotenuse, I'm going to put that equal to 2x. Okay? So from there, if I divide both sides by 2, this length is 7.5. And if x is 7.5, then x radical 3 is 7.5 radical 3. Okay? For the next one, again, across from the 30, the short leg is x, hypotenuse is 2x, and this one is x square root 3. Okay? So if I was to go ahead and kind of work this out, we end up with, well, let me just put this out here. If this is my equation right now, to get x by itself, I'm going to divide by radical 3. That cancels those guys out. Divide by radical 3. So what is the length of x? It's just going to be 6. Okay? And if x is 6, what is 2x going to be? 2x is going to be 12. Okay? So again, I hope that is making sense as far as how you can apply the 30, 60, 90 triangle rules. First thing you have to do is correctly identify which side is which. Okay? So here's x, here's 2x, and here's x square root 3. Okay? Now, if 2x is equal to 12 radical 2, you can go ahead and divide both sides by 2 to get x by itself. So this is 6 square root 2. Okay? Now, from there, since this is x, I'm going to take that x and plug it in right there. Okay? What does that look like? Well, here's x, and x is multiplied by radical 3. So what is this side length here? You know, if we take square root of 2 times square root of 3, you get the square root of 6. So therefore, this longer leg is going to be 6 square root 6. Okay? I know that's a little different looking than what we've had. Okay? All right, let's look at this next one. Oh, shoot. I just realized something here. I mismarked this. This should be my 30-degree angle, opposite the shorter side, and this should be my 60-degree angle. Okay? So hopefully you caught that. If not, you're watching it now and can go ahead and fix that. But if my opposite than 30 is the x value, okay, the hypotenuse is 2x, and the longer leg is x square root 3. Okay? So if I take 4 radical 3 and plug it in for the x here, I get 2 times 4 radical 3. What does that equal? 8 radical 3. Okay, not 8 radical 6. You're only multiplying the like with the like here. Okay? Now, if I do the same thing up here, plugging this in here, we have 4 radical 3 times the radical 3 that's already there, because I have 4 radical 3 for the x. Now I have to multiply by the radical 3. Okay? Now, in essence, this is radical 3 times radical 3, which is what? Well, it's just 3. So therefore, the length of that side right there is going to be 12. Okay? You have the 2 radical 3's that become just 3, and then 4 comes along. 4 times 3 is 12. All right. And this last one here, we have x radical 3. Oh, this is going to be a good one. And this is going to be 2x, okay? So, if I'm doing this, x square root 3 equals 7, okay? I have to get x by itself. So I'm going to divide by the square root of 3, okay? Now, I can't leave that radical down there, so I'm going to rationalize it by multiplying by radical 3 over radical 3. Now what that gives me is 7 radical 3 over, what's radical 3 times radical 3? Just 3. All right, now from there, I can actually take this even, you can leave it like that. That's not the prettiest. 3 goes into 7 twice with 1 left over, so you could say 2 1/3 radical 3. That's the same as 7 radical 3 over 3, okay? So that is just the x value. So if I put that in there, 2 1/3 radical 3. Okay, this one's 7. And then the hypotenuse is going to be double this length right here. Well, if I double 2 1/3 radical 3, 2 times, again, like with like, 2 times 1/3 gives you 4 2/3. So this length right here is going to be 4 2/3 radical 3. Okay? Oh, did I go down too far? There we go. Yep. No, we're good. Okay? So hopefully, again, I went through those really quickly. I hope that made sense. And here's what I'm going to tell you. You have homework in Schoology from the textbook. So make sure you take a look at that. But also, if you would like bonus, the last 3 problems, I'll give those to you. Sorry about that. Friday afternoon, sleepy. I will give those bonus to you. You just want to make sure that you work the problems correctly all the way through. Okay, make sure you're simplifying everything through. So, for example, I know this side of the 45, 90 triangle, so I'm going to start over here, figure out those 2 lengths, and then work my way this way. Okay. Now, as I go from this triangle to this triangle, the rules change. Okay, but yeah, I don't know if I want to say how they solve them doesn't, but it, you want to work your way from one triangle to the other. Okay. Same thing with this one. Work your way from one triangle to the other. And then this one being a trapezoid, like the one we just worked on, you may want to break it into parts, kind of like I did with the area problem. So with that being said, thanks for being a great audience, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.